These are men! Other than my father and the scientist, I had never seen men on Gravoria before.
At first glance, one may think that the Deadly Tower of Monsters is about a stranded astronaut fighting for his life on a hostile alien world. In fact, it's about the director, Dan Smith, reminiscing about his B-movie disaster piece. The clever mechanics of dual-vantage, fourth-wall-breaking storytelling, along with sound isometric action and wonderfully creative presentation, make the Deadly Tower of Monsters a one-of-a-kind.
Motion effects, huh? Unfortunately, we skimped on the Dick Starspeed puppet a little.
Dick has crash-landed on Gravoria. His ship and robotic companion lay in pieces. Gravoria is inhabited by apes, lizards, dinosaurs, insects, and more. Sprouting out of the planet's crust is the Deadly Tower. This multi-level death trap houses traps, monsters, and dangerously unguarded ledges. The story on its own would be rather scarce, opting to focus on action and gameplay instead. However, the game is played with audio commentary from the fictional movie's director, Dan Smith. Dan's commentary is near constant, touching on everything from script rewrites to stolen props. He's an old-school bigot, thief, and all-around idiot, and he makes the game enjoyable from start to finish. Dan's commentary is outlandish and ridiculous, reminiscing about how genius the movie is, despite its nonsensical combination of genres and tropes. If you like the budget action and outlandishness of Roger Corman or Ed Wood, you'll adore the Deadly Tower of Monsters.
Smokes.
If it were just an isometric brawler with a B-movie veneer, there wouldn't be much to say about the Deadly Tower's gameplay. Fortunately, the game's creativity and originality bleed into the gameplay as well. You'll eventually have the choice between 3 characters, each with their own unique abilities for solving puzzles or fighting enemies. You can switch between these characters at checkpoints. These checkpoints also tend to house upgrade, quest, and weapon management terminals. Only 2 melee and 2 ranged weapons can be carried at one time. Breaking boxes, killing enemies, and completing quests will earn currency for parts, upgrading gear and stats. One can play Deadly Tower as a linear action game always looking for a way up, or one can diverge looking for hidden loot, platforms, and rooms. Sometimes you'll need to skydive, teleporting back up at the last second. Other times you'll need to jetpack, jump, or shoot hidden switches. The roundabout level design can make the tower seem absolutely dizzying. The higher you climb, the scarier it is to take the plunge.
Sure how to represent a surge of adrenaline at first, but I think we nailed it. Yep, definitely nailed it.
Deadly Tower is non-stop action. You'll need to dodge or utilize traps to effectively traverse the environment. Platforming, fighting, and exploration are all part of the journey. Platforming can be a bit tricky due to the perspective, but the camera will usually adjust to help out with these sections. Space jumps and glides, shifts, somersaults. The right and left mouse buttons are used for melee and ranged weapons, respectively. Melee can be swung for combos or held for power hits, likewise with ranged, though rechargeable ammo is needed for successive shots. The shooting feels solid, especially when aiming down the tower at incoming foes. The melee, surprisingly, also works well. Every foe has their own pattern, and you'll need to time your blows just right to avoid taking damage. The 2 systems may not be deep on their own, but thanks to the clever stage design and enemy placement, the gameplay remains frantic the entire way through.
Hey, let's set the record. I told the team I wanted a minimum of 30. Of course, we found out later we were absolutely nowhere near the world record.
The main character models look a bit dated and stiff. Not to pick on the game, but it's essential to mention because the rest of the game looks so good. The stop-motion animation in particular is used to great effect. Enemies in costume, enemies hanging from wires, enemies drawn on frame, or enemies molded from clay all look fantastic. The set design is colorful and detailed, looking just like a movie set as opposed to the real thing. Static filters and light blooms nail that classic Technicolor feel. Voice acting is great. Each character, Dan included, embody their personality perfectly.
Fun fact, the statue of the Emperor is actually as big as it looks on screen.
Deadly Tower of Monsters will cater to just about any kind of gamer, action star and explorers alike. If you have a love for the best and the worst of sci-fi films, this game is for you.
Some people thought it was odd that a simple wooden cage would have